And, yeah, which platform you are on. Now, I am here for special requests, the 48 Laws of Power. We are back on this series. Now, if you missed my other series on the 48 Laws of Power, definitely go check that out, Reflection. Okay. I think we made it at least to 22. Okay. At least to 21 or 22. I'm not sure. We're actually going to double back on Law 22 either tomorrow or later on tonight. I'm going to see Reflection. Okay, make sure you hit the subscribe button, the follow button, so you do not miss out on my first no, my second series of the 48 Laws of Power. Okay, so with that being said, Reflection, if you do not have this book, the 48 Laws of Power, do not worry about it. Hopefully after this video, Reflection, you will have a better insight on how to use these laws throughout your everyday life. Okay, now the law that we're going to talk about today or tonight, whenever you hit this video, is Law 25 and Law 26. Okay, and this is actually the book right here that we're referencing from. Hold on. That was in the background. Let me see if I have one to put up front. Reflection. Let's see. No, I don't have one in the studio of the book. But just look up the first 40. I mean, look up the 48 Laws of Power and you will it'll pop right up. It has an orange cover, okay? So, with that being said, the law that we are actually talking about is recreate yourself. This is Law 25, Reflection. This is Law 25. And Law 25 talks about the importance of recreating yourself. Now, it actually says the character you seem to have been born with is not necessarily who you are, Reflection. Just think about when you were younger, Reflection, and think about something that you know, when you're younger, they always ask you, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to be when you grow up? Think about what you said that you wanted to be when you grow up. Most people, 70% of people do not, they change their Reflection. They don't actually have that same mindset when they grow. It's almost like they recreate themselves. Okay. Think about a bad experience that you ever went throughout your lifetime, Reflection, and you literally had to you didn't let that moment define you. Instead, you recreated yourself. Okay. So knowing how to recreate yourself is always key, Reflection. Okay. And know how to be all things to all men. Well, what do we mean when we say know how to be all things to all men? This all comes under the law of recreating yourself. Knowing how to be mutable. Think about mutable signs in the zodiac signs. Mutable signs in the zodiac signs, Reflection, they can morph, they can adapt to any situation. Okay. They can be in a room full of intelligent people. They can be in a room full of dense people. They can be in a room full of fiery people, people that are always on the edge. They can be in situations where you have to multitask. They can be in situations where you have to slow things down. They are very mutable. What does mutable mean? That means you can adapt to any situation. Okay. So never become so stuck in a certain way of thinking, a certain way of doing anything. Know how to be mutable. That's key. Okay. Recreate yourself. All right. This all go under the same law. We talking about Law 25. Now, not only that, it also says a scholar among scholars, a saint among saints. Okay, know when to be a scholar, know when to appear as a saint. Reflection, it's not about necessarily what you are internally. It's about what you have recreated yourself to appear outwardly. Okay, we're talking about a key, Reflection. We are talking about the key. These are keys that you have to use sometime throughout your journey. Now, do not accept the roles that society has put on you. Learn to recreate yourself by forging a new identity, okay? Masters of your own image and let others define it for you, okay? Know how to recreate yourself. Never just when a person think they figured you out, recreate yourself. Reflection, recreate yourself. Never get too predictable, all right? We talked about that in another law. Never get too predictable. That can be dangerous sometime, all right? Your power will enhance you and your character will seem larger than life. Okay. So if you're gonna do a Reflection, do it big. Don't half step it. If you're gonna recreate yourself, recreate yourself, Reflection. Okay. Hit the like and subscribe button. You're over here with Taretha. We are talking about Law 25. We're talking about Law 25. Okay. Now I actually want to read this story time to you, Reflection, about recreating yourself. Okay. And why it's important to know how to be mutable. Now, it actually says the man who intends to make his fortune in this ancient capital of the world, which is Rome, must be a Carmelian susceptible to reflecting the colors of the atmosphere that surrounds him. A Proteus, a taupe to assume every form, every shape. He must be subtle, flexible, close, insubstantiable, often base, and sometimes sincere. Sometimes always concealing a part of his knowledge. Okay, so never let a person know everything that you know, reflection. Okay, sometimes you have to recreate yourself as the student when you really are internally the teacher. Okay, let's keep it going. Now, it actually says that a very common occurrence for a soul possessing the above recreates, he must have religion in his mind, that there is to say on his face and on his lips in his manners. He must suffer quietly. Okay, you have to don't wear your emotions on your shoulders all the time. They can be deadly, reflection. If a person know that they can affect you, they can use that to their advantage. Okay, learn to recreate yourself. All right, it says if he must be an honest man, the necessary of knowing himself an arrogant hypocrite, huh? The man whose soul would loathe such a life should never leave Rome and seek his fortune elsewhere. I do not know whether I am praising or executing or excusing myself, but for all those qualities I possess but one: flexibility. Okay, so this is a person who's speaking on the outside. Basically, they're saying, have you ever seen the person that's just saying like they free spirit? Okay, free spirit, just kind of just up here, there, everywhere. Reflection, they know how to be mutable. They're here, they're there, they're everywhere. Okay, they're in the, you will see them and you'll be like, oh, I didn't even expect you to be in that type of situation. I didn't even expect you to be in that place right there. You get what I'm saying? This is a person that knows how to be mutable. This is a person that knows how to adapt to every situation. They know how to be a scholar among scholars and a saint among saints. Okay, reflection. They may be one way on Friday and another way on Saturday. We all know this person. This is what I'm talking about. Recreate yourself. Okay, that's just on a smaller degree, but you can use these laws, reflection, throughout your everyday life. Know how to be mutable. All right, now, with that being said, if you are just stuck in one mindset, it's kind of hard to recreate yourself. It's kind of hard because you're always going to go back to that one way of thinking. Okay, you're always going to go back to thinking like a saint when you should be thinking like a scholar at the time. Okay, reflection is called recreating yourself. All right, so sometimes you also must learn to make yourself look larger than you really are. Reflection. Sometimes you have to fake it before you make it. Yes, we all know this person. Reflection. We all know this person. Okay, that they have to fake it before they make it. All right. So it's about at the same time recreating yourself. It's also about know how to be all things to all men. Okay, you cannot step in a room full of saints necessarily looking like you get what I'm saying. Reflection, you just left the club. You gotta know, even though you just left the club, you gotta know how to be mutable. Reflection, you gotta go in there with all your buttons pulled up to your buttoned up to your neck. Okay, you get what I'm saying. Reflection, hit the like and subscribe button. You're over here with Sarithia. I'm telling you how to recreate yourself. Know how to be mutable in every situation. Reflection, every situation on calls for the same thing. Now, listen at this quote from Dennis. Okay, it says, "Do not let people talk in a society of a man being a great actor. They do not mean by that he feels, but that he excels in simulating through he feels nothing." Okay, so what does that mean? You have to take your feelings out of the situation sometime. Reflection, to recreate yourself to be mutable in certain situations. Remember, it may if you have a certain mindset and you are in a room full of scholars, but you thinking like a saint, it's kind of hard for you to feel what they're saying, feel exactly what they're saying. It's kind of hard. It may be hard for you to mask your feelings. Remember, it goes back to not wearing your feelings on your shoulder. Reflection. You can't let everyone know when they have affected you outwardly, because that can be what it can be a very dangerous thing. Okay, so that is law 25, reflection. Now let's talk about this. Remember that overreacting can be very counterproductive. Remember, I told you, recreate yourself, know how to be this person in this situation and this person in the next situation, okay? But don't do too much reflection, because then you're going to seem fake. You're going to seem very fake, and people are going to try to figure out, hold on, what are you really hiding? What are you really hiding? Are you really who you say you are? So don't overdo it, reflection, okay? Learn to be mutable. Learn to play many roles, okay? Be whoever you need to be at that moment. Some people will call it fake, other people will call it trying to climb that ladder, okay? Adapt your mask to the situation, all right? Sometimes you have to put on different faces for different situations, okay? Just think about when you're with your friends. When you with your friends talking reflection, let's say you with your friends talking reflection, but you probably wouldn't have the same face as if you were in front of the mayor talking, or if you are in front of the president talking, or if you're in front of, you get what I'm saying, an elder, somebody that, somebody that maybe you look up to, reflection. You wouldn't have the same output, okay? So learn how to control your output, all right? So now let's talk about how this law can actually reverse on you, reflection. This law can reverse on you. Remember, I told you, don't overdo it. When you're trying to recreate yourself, don't overdo it. All right. Don't jump in the character too hard. All right. Because everyone hates a bad actor. All right. Everyone hates. Think about a movie. No one wants to watch a movie with a bad actor. Do that, reflection. So a bad actor is a bad actor, and it's only gonna create embarrassment, because it could be somebody around, reflection, or air sign, Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius, to tell you that you are being fake. Okay, reflection. They do not believe what you are putting down. Okay, now that right there is actually law 25. Let's go to law 26. Make sure you hit the like button and the subscribe button and the follow button if you haven't already, reflection. Okay. And again, I hope this music isn't too loud in the background. I hope y'all can hear me good. Okay. I'm going to turn it off. I'm just going to turn it off because I want to make sure that y'all can hear me. All right. So let's go to law 26. Law 26 talk about keeping your hands clean. Okay. Keep your hands clean, reflection, in any situation. You need to keep your hands clean, even when you're not keeping your hands clean. So what do I mean by that? Let's talk about it. It says one should not be too straightforward. The straight trees are all cut down if you go look in the forest, reflection. The crooked ones are the ones still left standing. They are the ones still left standing. And I know this is kind of, you're like, oh, these laws can be a little manipulative. Reflection, you have to understand the realm that you are on. Okay. So with that being said, one should not appear too straight. One should not be too straightforward. Okay. The straight trees are all cut down. Never let your left hand know what your right one is doing before you know the agenda of your left hand. Okay. All right. So if you cannot be good, then make sure you be careful, reflection. If you can't be good, what I always say, you can't be an angel all the time. Well, if you know you can't be an angel all the time, then you need to be careful. Okay. So the next entry says, I would rather betray the whole world than the world betray me. You can't see the bottom of it, but that's what it say. I would rather betray the whole world than the whole world betray me. You know that feeling? Have you ever had that feeling, reflection, when you found out somebody who you really loved, or somebody who you really cared about, that it really wasn't what you thought it was, and you felt that moment of betrayal? You felt that hole, that sink, that hole just forming in your heart, reflection, that blackness just consuming your, reflection. Did you feel it? Did you feel it? Think about that moment. So when you go back to that moment, reflection, remember in law 25, that person said that sometimes to be mutable, you can't feel. You can't necessarily put your feelings into the situation. Okay. So that also rolls over to law 26. I would rather betray the whole world than the whole world betray me. Always keep your hands clean, reflection. So what do they mean by that? Keep listening as we explain more about law 26 and keeping your hands clean. Now, your hands should never be soiled by mistakes, nasty deeds, either, reflection. You should never keep your hands soiled by nasty mistakes and deeds. Think about Hollywood. This concept, this is one they use well. Okay. Maintain such a spotless appearance by using others as a scapegoat. Okay. And disguise them in your involvement. Okay. So if you will notice, think about all the people with a lot of stuff that's going down right now. they usually have a scapegoat. It's usually the person who's really doing the devious things isn't the person that really goes down. The people they usually have, the more power they have, reflection, the more scapegoats they would have. Okay. If they're smart, the more scapegoats that they would have, reflection, because it's something about being pure. It's hard to get to the top. It's hard to get to the top. And when you figure out what's really at the top, you will understand why it's so hard to be pure and get to the top. But that's another story for another day. We're talking about Law 26 and keeping your hand clean. Okay, so let's keep going. Let me tell you a story. Let's do a story time real quick. Let's do a story time. All right. Near the end of the 2nd century in China, the Han Empire was slowly about to collapse. The great general and imperial minister Tasso emerged as the most powerful man in the country. Seeking to extend his powerful base to rid himself of the last of his rivals, Tasso began a campaign to take control of the strategically vital Central Plain. Now, during this siege of the city key, he slightly miscalculated the timing for supplies of the grain to arrive for the capital, reflection. Some mistakes you just can't make. Now, as he waited for the shipment to come in, the army ran low on food, and Tasso was forced to order the chief of commissaries to reduce its ration. So he was telling them, listen, don't eat 2 steaks, just eat one, baby. And really, I really don't want you to eat one. Take that one and split it in half. That's what he said, reflection, and get you a little rice and shit and fill you up on the side. I think that's what he was saying. Let's keep going. Hit the like and subscribe button. You over here with T. Now, Tasso had a tight rein on his army, and he ran a network of informers. He always kept him somebody on the side to tell him what was going on, reflection, okay? Now, his spies soon reported that the men were complaining, grumbling that he was living well while they had barely enough food to eat, reflection. So he had cut their meal short to half a steak the whole time. He had doubled up on his meal. He wasn't sure. You get what I'm saying? He was still eating the same, and they felt like, listen, if I gotta eat half a steak, I need you to eat half of one too, baby. If they don't get no more than a 3/4 of a steak, if I gotta get half, then don't you get more than 3/4. And I know you only getting 3/4 because you running shit. Okay, reflection. This is what his people. That's what they was pillow talking. They was saying about him. Okay, now the grumbling actually spread, and Tasso could have nudity on his hands. He summoned the chief of commissaries to his tent. He said, I want to ask you to lend me something, and you must not refuse. Tasso told the chief. What is it? The chief replied. I want a loan of your head to show the troops, said Tasso. But I've done nothing wrong, cried the chief. I know, said Tasso with a sigh. But if I do not put you to death, there will be immunity. Do not grieve. After you're gone, I will look after your family. Put it this way, the request left to the chief no choice. So he was asking him, reflection, but he really wasn't asking him. He was like basically coming there like, listen. They upset talking. I think they know what's going on. I think they know that I still been eating a whole steak and a half, and I just been giving them half a steak. Now I need you to take this one for the team. Don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about it. It's your family. I know you've been working. The only reason you working anyway is to provide for them. It's to provide for them, but I'm gonna take care of their ass. Think of it like you the sacrifice for the family. Listen, reflection. We are talking about Law 26 and how to keep your hands clean. I'm telling you a story time in China. Listen. Now he said, do not grieve. After you are gone, I will look after your family. Put it this way. The request left the chief no choice. So he reassigned himself to his fate and was beheaded. Reflection. I don't think you heard me. He was beheaded the very next day. They did the next day because they didn't want him to change his mind. They did it the next day, reflection. Seeing his head on public display, the soldiers stopped grumbling. Some saw through Tasso's gesture, but kept quiet, stunned and intimidated by his violence. All right, reflection. And most accepted his version of who was to blame, preferring to believe in his wisdom and fairness that in his incompetence and cruelty. So he blamed it on somebody else. He said, listen, I didn't even tell them to not get y'all food. I didn't know y'all wasn't getting nothing but half a steak. Who said y'all couldn't get nothing but half a steak? Go get his ass. Yes, go get his ass. I know I told you to not get him number half a steak, but listen, they mad and shit. They mad and shit. So I'm gonna have to be hedged. Yes, listen. I'm gonna have to go on, allegedly. That's what he said, reflection. He said, listen, I'm gonna have to go on ahead and behead you, baby. I'm gonna have to put your head up there so they can shut the fuck up. It's a little intimidation tactic. Intimidation. I gotta let them know. I gotta create a situation. We talked about this in another law. When there is no situation, create a situation and look like the savior, reflection. This is exactly what he did. And think about it in Hollywood, reflection. I think they use this tactic well. I don't know that, but I think they do. Now, so think about that, reflection. This particular this ruler in China, he told his people the whole time. He told this man to tell them they couldn't have nothing but have a steak portion out their food. And when the people found out about it, reflection, and started complaining like they almost wanted to overrule the king, then he went and beheaded that very same man and put his head out there, because that was a big tactic for not just in China but everywhere, reflection, to behead their enemies and put it on public display for a scare tactic, like an intimidation tactic. And not only that, reflection, he really didn't have a choice. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna take care of your family, but he didn't really have a choice. What was he gonna tell the king? No, he was gonna still behead him, reflection. He was gonna still behead him. So he was getting beheaded for doing his damn job. We are talking about keeping your hands clean to any degree, reflection. Did you hear what the king did? Hit the like and subscribe button. We are over here talking about the 48 laws of power, baby. We are talking about the 48 laws of power. And that is something, reflection. That's something. Now, think about this. Let's talk about Athens. Okay, the Athens regularly maintained a number of degraded and useless beings at the public expense. Okay, aka prisoners. And when any calamity, such as a plague, drought, or famine, befell on the city, they were led about and then sacrificed, apparently by being stoned outside the city, reflection. So they kept, let's say something went on in the city and maybe the king or the pharaoh or whatever, he was the reason behind it. They kept people, reflection, allegedly on the side to behead, reflection, in front of the city, in front of their people, as a scapegoat. Like, nah, this the enemy right here. This the enemy right here. The whole time, reflection, them folks just been sitting to the side, waiting for any occasion, because they know at any day they're going to become the scapegoat. Do you hear what I'm saying to you? This shit sounds familiar. Reflection, hit the like and subscribe button. We are over this. What you asked for, reflection. Y'all want to do the rest of the 48 laws of power. So here we are. We are talking about keeping your hands clean. Oh my goodness. Listen. But think about it though. This has been a key to power. A lot of people in power have a scapegoat. I don't know too many that don't. Okay, the use of scapegoats though is very old, reflection. This is old, the civilization itself. Just go back and read any story about any civilization, any pharaoh, they all had a scapegoat. Okay, now the Hebrews actually used to take a live goat. That's where the term scapegoat actually came from, because the Hebrews would actually take a live goat and the priest would actually behead the damn goat, reflection. He would behead the goat. Okay, so do you hear what I'm saying? So this is something that's been going on, reflection. This is something that's been going on. Okay. So this isn't anything new. All right. Now let's talk about let's talk a little bit more about the goat. All right. The innocent goat. On the day of atonement, the high priest brings the goat onto the temple, places his hand on the goat's head, and confesses the people's sin, transferring the guilt to the guiltless beast. Okay, so all the sins that that person had, they're putting their hand on the goat's head, reflection. There go that. What is the scapegoat? Again, the goat is the scapegoat. So that's where the terms come from. Okay, so they're putting their hand on the goat, reflection, and transferring, because we know energy don't die, just keep going, putting all their bad energy into the goat, reflection, and therefore they would sacrifice the goat, reflection, okay, for their sins. All right, so this is a practice that has been going on since the beginning of time, reflection. But let's talk about the scapegoat. Better yet, let's talk about the favorite scapegoat, reflection. That's why you can't get too close. That's why you gotta watch Friends and shit. Think about a person that was doing crimes and shit with a person. They thought this person was their friend the whole time. One of them one person, think about in any movie, in any situation, even throughout your life, it's always a friend reflection that seems like they don't got no feelings. It's always a friend that seems like they could just slip through the loop sometime. Reflection. It's always that friend. It seems like everybody that come around that person, something when they get in a situation, that person is never the one that go down because that motherfucker got a scapegoat playing. Reflection. Let's talk about it. And usually the scapegoats are the person that are close to them. It's rarely a stranger. It's always somebody close to them. Okay. Now they call it the fall of the favorite. Let's talk about the fall of the favorite reflection, okay? It says that most people would actually choose the most innocent victim possible as the sacrificial goat, okay? Such people will not be powerful enough to fight back against them. Think about powerful people. They always get a person that they feel like is weaker than them reflection as the scapegoat. It's rarely somebody that is stronger than them or that will put up too much of a fight, okay? Because these people know how important it is for them to remain the victim. If a person try to fight back too much, then what? If they may reveal that you were never the victim the whole time, you were the fucking oppressor. Reflection, listen. Now, the public would readily believe in the scapegoat guilt. Why would the king sacrifice his favorite person? Why would the king sacrifice his favorite person? That's why sometimes, remember, the king would have certain people around him reflection just for one day. If certain things went on throughout the kingdom, that person would be the ultimate sacrifice. He could blame the misfortunes on that particular person, okay? And the people, they may see through it, but they're so scared because they don't want to be beheaded just like that favorite person, because they're like, damn, that was the king favorite. If the king will behead his favorite, who am I? It's all a tactic. Reflection. I'm talking about how to get those keys and how the people in power obtain those keys, okay? And why do they think about this? And a lot of people would be like, well, that's their favorite. Well, this is how they think reflection. They feel like they can always find a new favorite. They can always find a new favorite to take that person's place. That also goes back to being mutable reflection, okay? And not putting your feelings in every situation. All right. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the follow button, because you are over here with Tarethia, and we are talking about the 48 laws of power reflection. I don't want to make this video too long, but I actually had a couple of story times that, because it's a lot we can talk about with this law. Keeping your hands clean reflection. It is so many stories about this reflection that you probably don't even know that they were applying this law to. Think about Queen Cleopatra. Think about Cleopatra reflection and how she seduced Caesar and how she had Caesar doing all of her being. The whole time it was Queen Cleopatra in the background getting him to do all her dirty work. The whole time it was Queen Cleopatra, but that's not really told throughout history because the queen knew, hey, I got to keep my hand clean, baby. I have to appear queenly at all moments, okay? But every good king, just like every good queen, has a scapegoat, okay? You got to keep your little scapegoat around. Reflection. Now, it also says that this person is usually a person from outside your immediate circle who will therefore be likely to realize how he or she is being used. Okay, they will be unlikely to realize how this person is being used. So, this won't be somebody that you grew up with or something like that, reflection. This will be somebody outside your circle, but technically they're close to your circle. You know how you had that immediate circle and then you had that other circle, okay? That circle where they think they know you, but they don't really know much about you, not your real true form reflection, okay? That's where the scapegoats are coming in at, all right? That every person in power has two circles, all right? So with that being said, reflection, I don't want to make this video too long, but I definitely want to come over here and talk about this law because this is a law that cannot be overlooked. This is a law that is being exercised right in front of us every day. Have you not watched the media? Okay. Now, one should never be too straightforward. Reflection. Remember that one should never be too straightforward. Go in the forest and see that how which trees are cut down. All of the straight ones, okay, reflection. So if you ever wonder, how is this person, I don't even see why they're at the top, where reflection, you don't know what all they had to do to necessarily get to the top. And if you did, you might wouldn't necessarily want to get to the top. Until next time, Ashe.